Welcome, seriously welcome to a John Legg fake review. Yes, you heard right. This is a review of fake and I hate fake. Fake is completely pointless. Okay, so first of all, welcome to this review. We're not actually going to look at a fragrance, we're going to look at fake. Okay, now I didn't really want to have to do this one, but there's a lot of fakes kicking around. And I suppose, realistically, it doesn't matter what the product is, whether it's a pair of Apple EarPods, Nike trainers, a Lacoste t-shirt. If it's a desirable, expensive sort of product that people are willing to buy and desperately want, then there are people out there who will copy them and put them out as originals. That's the difference. They're calling them originals and they're not. They're never the same quality, they're never the same build, they're never quite the same. They're just not the same at all. Okay. So, in the fragrance world, we have the originals, the real things, the real McCoys. We have clones, which are fragrances which are inspired by those real things, those real fragrances. And then we have fake. Now, obviously, if you've got the money, go out and buy the real thing. But quite often, the real thing's quite expensive. Clones. What are clones? Now, clones, they don't claim, they're not saying, I am Tom Ford Black Orchid, for example. They will say, inspired by. Okay, and they're a very good copy, a sort of quite often a 90-95% copy at a much more reasonable price. But they're not fake, they're not saying, I am Black Orchid. They don't put it in the same packaging, they don't copy everything, they are just inspired by. But then you get those horrible things, fakes. Okay. Yes, they might be cheap, but trust me, even if you only spend £10 or £15 on a fake, you are wasting that £10 or £15, completely wasting it. Okay, now I was handed a fake recently. Leggy, review this. Okay, and I looked at it and I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I thought I ought to. Okay, so I was handed this. You know what? Doesn't that look real? Tom Ford Black Orchid. And it's an eau de parfum. Right. So it all looks good. You know what? It doesn't say anything other than the real thing. It's got Tom Ford all over it. It's got a barcode, which obviously tells you it's real. Okay, and the picture on there is pretty much a picture of how the original bottle of Tom Ford Black Orchid looks. Okay, so we open it and we are met by, oh, you know what, it's still telling you it's Tom Ford Black Orchid. You know what? Okay, so Tom Ford Black Orchid is a legendary fragrance. It's an amazing fragrance, but for 100ml, you'll probably spend best part of £250-300 maybe. This, I think they've probably spent £10 to £15 on this, but it was a complete waste of time. Let's get into the fragrance and see what. And you know what? I can't pull it by its cap because its cap already fell off. Look at that. Tom Ford Black Orchid 100ml. Okay, now there's nothing that holds the cap on. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, they've made a fairly good attempt at convincing someone who wasn't in the know that this is Tom Ford Black Orchid. Let's spray it. Do you know what? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. This shares not one single note with Black Orchid at all. This essentially is maybe a bathroom air freshener. It's maybe what you'd call a shower gel fragrance. You know, if you had like a Lynx, I don't know, Lynx Africa or something like that, and you were showering with it, this is the kind of smell that you might get from that. Okay, so whoever bought this has wasted their money completely. All right, it is nothing like Black Orchid, even though it's all packaged and made to look like Tom Ford Black Orchid. Now, the crazy thing is, when they handed me this and said, oh, can you review this? I happened to be wearing Tom Ford Black Orchid. And I smelt it, and I smelt this, and I just went, you know what? It's not even similar. It's not close. It's not anything. And you know what? I'm smelling it now. It's pretty much gone already. Okay, so my advice to you is never buy a fake. You can buy a clone, something which is inspired by, but never ever bother with a fake. Quite often, after a couple of sprays, the sprayer stops spraying. This one, obviously, something's gone wrong. The cap just falls off. A complete and utter waste of money. So, even if it's cheap, don't bother with it. If it says it's Tom Ford Black Orchid and you're getting something which is over £200 and you're getting it for a tenner, if it sounds too good to be true, it actually is. And it's a pointless thing. So do not encourage the people who fake copy these things by buying them. Please keep your money in your pocket and don't spend it on a fake. Okay, I've got that off my chest. I feel a lot better for that fake review. So, thank you for coming to this channel. I hope you see it as a hobby of mine, which I'm just maybe helping you, maybe pointing you in a slightly different direction to the you were facing before. And if you could do a thumbs up, if you could do a subscription, I'll be pleased, I'll be honoured, and I'll be grateful. So, stay safe, stay happy, spray fragrance, not fake, spray real fragrance every day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.